Hello, I'm Taneca Chapman-Mills, and I'm in conversation today with author Ebony LaDelle. She is the author of the Michigan notable book, Love Radio. Hope you can see my copy.
We see it.
I really
Hi.
enjoyed this book. Thank you very much for writing it.
Oh, thank you so much
Uh,
for having me and also for championing it. Like I will never forget that. I really appreciate you reading it and talking about how much you loved it and, helping make it a Michigan Noble pick.
well, it's not often where I read something that stirs my memories, and
Hmm.
that's exactly what Love Radio did. So, how did you become a writer? Tell us a little bit about yourself in that
Sure.
journey to becoming a writer.
Sure. So I've always, I guess the way to answer it is like I've always been a writer. I just didn't know that it would ever I don't think when I was younger I realized it would transition into this, right? So like when I was younger, a little bit about myself, I grew up in Oak Park in Southfield. My dad's family, it's from the east side. My mom's family, it's from Mississippi. And like many people, great uncles came up to the city and she came with them, right? And so a lot of my childhood was spent with my mother, and I would spend time with my dad throughout the summer because at a certain point he moved away. And one of the things that my mom would do is she would just find very creative activities for us for free.
Wow.
Because in that regard, even though she wasn't a single parent, she was a single parent while my dad did not live in the same state with us. And so we would do a lot of creative things, like we would go to CVS and, get those colorful sketchbooks and like paint, and she'd take me to the library and we would do all these things and I would like play with my Barbies and I would create these stories. And my mother also is a storyteller, like she likes to write. And so we would sit and like do these things together. But then at a certain point, I really just started doing it on my own. And so I would create little books and give it to her and give it to my dad. Um, but I think how I became a professional writer is that throughout the years, I started to get a little bit uncomfortable with like myself and my own skin. And I'm a shy girl. And I'm just like, oh, my writing's not good enough. You get in your own head. And so I went to Howard, and that was like a great experience for me because I worked at Howard's bookstore, and it kind of like reignited my love for like books and reading and writing because I was in marketing. And so the thing about Howard was like we would have book signings, and I got to meet some incredible people. Like my favorite person was Quincy Jones. Obviously, Love Radio is full of music, and Detroit is like time capsule of music. So that was big for me. And I also met like his publicist and his marketer, and for other signings, it'll be the same thing. And so I realized I could move to New York and start to have a career in publishing. And so my professional writing came from being a book publishing marketer and realizing that I had this fear of showcasing my voice and my talent, and a friend passed away. And I used writing again as a method to like get through those fears because I'm working with these incredible authors thinking I'm not good enough. And when I started writing after she passed away, I couldn't get therapy. I couldn't afford it. It's not accessible. And that was my form of healing. And so I messed around and like wrote a book. And from there, I decided, okay, this book is not something I'm ready to share with the world. This book is for me, but I am ready to share a book with the world. And so from there, it's like that's when I began to kind of use my networking and building a name for myself and making myself more visible in the industry. And then in 2020, I was featured in the New York Times as like what it's like to be a Black person in publishing. And all of those things kind of gave me that leverage and also the confidence to be like, okay, Ebony, you're ready. And so that's when I found mentorship and kind of went through the process of figuring out how to write Love Radio.
How long did it take you to write it?
Oof. I started in 2019, and yeah, it was like I want to say it was yeah, it was summer of 2019 is when I started writing it. And I was writing it like in the morning, and then 2020, everything kind of shut down. And I was fortunate enough to be able to work remotely. And so from there, that's when I really like went in on like finishing it. And so I it. Um I finished it in like I think sometime early 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
I mean 2021. My bad. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like through like edits and all that stuff. That was when it was like completed and I finished it. I said I when I finished it and submitted it sometime like mid 2020.
So you got the idea for a young adult book. How? This is
So
you pull from some of your experiences in school or just
yeah, so it's interesting. So when I worked in publishing, I worked on both sides. I worked in adult and in children's. And it was actually the reason why I wrote YA was because I got so frustrated at the time when I was in publishing because it was so white. And I am a Black marketer and I want to work on books by people of color. And coming from Howard's bookstore, where the whole selection, you know what I mean, where like Black stories are at the center, to going in an industry where they're like Black stories don't sell, it was really a problem for me. And I think it was just something that like it was like it stuck with me that like you for some reason do not feel like Black books don't sell based on nothing but your opinion, you know? Whereas I had the proof because I worked in a store that sold predominantly Black books. And so that was a big factor in me saying, you know what, I don't even know if I want to be in this industry anymore. And so what I ended up doing was at a last ditch attempt, I was considering like completely changing industries. I went back into children's and I became a marketing director for a young adult division at Harper. And that was what reinvigorated my love for like reading and writing again, was being able to work with like incredible writers. Like I got to work with Angie Thomas and Elizabeth Acevedo and Tiffany D. Jackson and all these writers, and E.B. Boy and all these writers that were doing like really great work. And that was what made me realize like, okay, I'm not ready to like kick this industry just yet. And also like there is something that I can also add to this canon, you know what I mean? To these contemporaries that will hopefully like just help do what we're all trying to do, which is make the book industry more diverse.
so during your process, did the characters just ever speak to you? Did you find yourself just, okay, Danny, where are we going today? Or Prince, what song are we playing today? Or, and by the way, were you inspired by, I don't know if you remember the DJ Bushman, but his uncle kind of remind me of the Bushman.
Oh, that's so interesting. I mean, I probably was. I mean, Bushman, Mace, like so many of those radio stations, like so many of the stations and like the DJs, like yes, I was inspired by that. So basically, I'm a character driven writer first. And so I was trying to figure out, okay, Prince would give love advice. If Prince is giving love advice, how would he give love advice, right? And so I thought the first thing that popped in my mind, because I was trying to do something a bit more creative. I was like, I could do social, but like that's an easy way to do it. And I want to challenge myself as a writer. And so what I ended up doing instead was I just kind of, I was trying to figure it out. And what kept popping in my head was like waking up, going to school and work and driving with my mother and the radio station coming on. And there were usually like pranks. There was like celebrity tea. And then there was a love advice. And sometimes me and my mom would be laughing at the love advice because we're like, yo, I don't know if this is the best love advice. Not saying that they only gave bad at love advice, but like there were some moments where I'm like, I don't know if this relationship is gonna last with this love advice. And but also it was such a good time for us in the morning because it was listening to music that we love. My mom has a beautiful singing voice. And so like being in the car singing with her was great, listening to all this stuff and kind of like talking about it amongst ourselves. It was like a bonding moment. And so I just kind of felt like, wouldn't it be great if Prince was also a person who did this, but actually gave incredible love advice? And so once I realized this is what I wanted him to do, that is when Detroit became a setting. But I always knew Danny was going to be like a teenage version of Ebony. And I basically had to figure out, knowing myself, who would be the teenage version, like what is the male version that I would need or that Danny needs to pursue her, like, and it inevitably became this Prince character because he needed to be this way in order for Danny to even consider, dating him. And for me, I needed to do that in order to make it realistic, like make the romance feel as realistic as possible.
I think it was cool that you focused on mass tech, if you will.
So Mass Tech is a troll to my dad because he went to Cass. And I'm like, I'm not gonna say Cass. Because I think the thing for me was listen, we know how we are. We will rep everything. Like Howard, it was a great example of that. People were repping their dorms. You know what I mean? People rep their schools, rep your neighborhood, you rep it all. And so I wanted it to feel like a place that is like very real in Detroit, but also I wanted it to feel like it could still be anyone's school. You know what I mean? Anyone's
Right.
school in the city. And so that was why I chose Mass. And I told my dad I was thinking about doing it, and he loved it. Like he just wouldn't stop laughing about it. And so it kind of stuck.
I liked how you focused on Danny being from a upper middle class background, whereas Prince's experience was more working class.
Thank you.
Usually you see the one or the other. It's either they're rich and mean or poor and sad.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated you showing the diversity of classes within African American communities
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on the love of family, strong family ties. I didn't mean to go this in depth
Oh
with
no, I
the
love
book.
it. I have comments on it. Like I love that you said, well, first of all, thank you for like even seeing that and appreciating that, because for me that's always been a frustration. And even in Detroit, like I think when people think of Detroit, they think of poverty, they think of violence, they think of like all the worst things. Which first of all, I've lived in New York, I live in DC now currently, and it boggles my mind because it's like violence is like everywhere. You know what I mean? Every inner city right now is experiencing it because of the recession, because of what has been like handed to our communities, you know? And so for me, it just wasn't fair that that's all I felt like I was seeing. But
Mhm.
also like you said, Black people are not a monolith. And so I wanted this for our community and also the outside community for you to see what different communities look like. And even with Prince, because he is, you know, lower income family, I still wanted to show the love and support there, even if the family doesn't look traditional, you know? And so just because Prince, I went back and forth about whether I wanted Prince to be fatherless. Because it's like I don't want it to be a stereotype, but also like these things do exist. And so my thing was like, how do I then show that it doesn't matter? He still has enough of a support system, whereas he feels loved, you know what I mean? And surrounded by
Absolutely.
love regardless. And so that's why I showed it in his uncle and even his relationship with his brother. And even with his friend group, like there's one friend, Aunt, who has a baby. And I wanted
Right.
to show that's another family dynamic, you know. But sometimes when kids have kids, sometimes it saves them. You know what I mean? It keeps them off the streets, it keeps them focused, like they have something to build towards. And I'm not saying it's like that all the time, but I just wanted to show a positive side so that if any kid, if any Black kid felt like they saw themselves in any of these characters, they can see the most healthy version of what their life could look like.
So, who was your favorite character?
My favorite character was Danny. And the reason why I say this, listen, I love Prince. Obviously, I love Prince. I love writing him. I say that Prince was the most fun to write, and Danny was the hardest. And Danny was the hardest because I was writing a character similar to me. I felt like I wanted to show a girl who, like, when people think of like the standout Black girl, it's like you have to smile, you have to do this, you have to be everything, you know? And I just wanted to show a character who could be complicated, who could be in her feels about something that is very valid, even though it didn't happen to the extreme in which like some people would assume it should, you know, in terms of her sexual assault. Like it still happened
Right.
to her and she still has every right to feel the way that she does. And she has every right to feel distrusting of others. And so I wanted to show that type of character. And it was very interesting when like early reviewers were reading it. I don't think they fully understood it. But when the book came out and like Black teens like read it or Black girls read it, they were like, oh, I completely understand Danny. And for me, that was what touched me the most because the goal was always to write characters that reflect Black women and Black girls in a way that's nuanced, in a way that's beautiful, in a way that's rich and full, you know, that shows like the breadth of who we are. And so that's why Danny was is my favorite character. And also I'm thankful to my editor because she had to pull stuff out of me that like I wasn't ready to confront about myself yet. And so I'm writing a character from like my past self, obviously through Danny. And but also it's like, oh, there are things that I haven't processed yet that I have to get out. So I think that made writing Danny's experience all the better. And I just love Black girls and Black women, you know? And so Prince was he was the character that came from Danny, like I said, because it's like I need a character that can woo Danny. I need a character that can woo my favorite character. And then, you know, he became a character of its own who I love Prince as a character, but Danny is still hands down my favorite. Yeah.
Can you read an excerpt for us?
Sure. So I'm going to read the first chapter a little bit just because I feel like it gives a really good representation of Danny. And then also you see just through this first chapter how much she changes and develops over the course of the novel. I've never met a person more drunk on love than my mom. She's got a list of old school romance movies she's always been obsessed with and has the nerve to rate them in order of her favorites. Thing is, that order changes every month. For September, it's Love Jones, Love and Basketball, Waiting to Exhale, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, Jason's Lyric, and the list goes on and on. But you get the point. I'd be lying if I said I've never seen these movies with her, multiple times, maybe more like thousands of times, but the verdict is still out on how I feel about them. This is the best part, sweetie, Mommy says, holding the screen. Look, every part is the best part according to her. I watch her as she's intensely focused on a movie she's seen over and over again, her feet tucked underneath her butt, her elbow perched on the couch's armrest, her head resting in her hands. Everyone says my forehead scrunches just like hers when we're concentrating, the brown of it all creasing like the frosting on a caramel cake. Camille spit you out, says every single relative. I study her face as her bright, big eyes widen and take in the movie. I guess I have her laser sharp cheekbones and thick long hair, but besides that, I'm all dad. Thank God he's not the one constantly lovesick. She claps her hands together as the hero and heroine kiss. Isn't that everything, baby? I roll my eyes. On the one hand, I appreciate Black artistry in all forms, but these movies always follow the same formula. You got your main characters, the strong Black female who has had enough with life and needs to get rid of some sort of dead weight. Usually she does something drastic, like chopping off her hair, taking a trip to a remote island, or just throwing herself into her work. And then you got your supporting cast, friends, colleagues, that one over the top person who brings comedic relief to the story. They fit into one or two categories as well. Either they are strongly encouraging the main character to go after their love interest, or they're strongly discouraging them until the main character has some epiphany about their unhappiness or lack of love and manages to come around. The plot lines are predictable and always come to a lackluster climax. Super stale, but everyone thinks that's just my cynical behind. Take Love Jones. Within the first 5 minutes, the scene opens with a neon red sign in the cut, illuminating the sanctuary, a local moody, smoke-filled poetry spot where the main characters, Darius and Nina, meet, all while listening to the sleek sounds of a woke brother schooling Black people about how to talk to one another. Basic. Then smooth ass Darius rose up on the stage, reciting some poem that was inspired by Nina, speaking on blues and funk and sex. Nina blows him off at first, but eventually get together. Had that been me, I guess the movie would have been over before it began, because there's no way he would have gotten a first date eroticizing me like that. As the two characters profess their love for one another again, my mom glances over in my direction, expecting me to complain. But I don't. This time. She would say that these romance tropes are everywhere, and with white Hollywood feeding us Black trauma porn, why not show more romances on screen with Black leads? And so I'm conflicted. As a writer, I love watching for the cinematography, the banter, the showcase of a Black love story blossoming. But at my core, I'm not a rom-com type girl. The tropes alone make me uneasy when you really think about them. Childhood friends, I gag at the thought of dating anyone in the cesspool of boys from my childhood. Falling in love with a bad boy? Let's examine the abusiveness of this trope. Enemies to lovers? Funniest one yet. Forbidden love? Okay. Just not feeling any of these. If we really want to go there, they're all problematic and simple. Give me writing with more conflict, more depth, something that's more nuanced and grips you, makes you question the world around you. Let's talk about real life issues that affect us daily and the traumas our community is untangling. At least that's the type of writing I want to do. I feel like the platform would be used to bring more meaning to this world than just a story about two people falling in love. Just my humble opinion. Still, for some reason, every time I'm tasked with dusting the shelves of our basement entertainment center and my mom's DVD collection, yeah, don't get me started, I can't help but pull out Love Jones and look at the package. It's the scene of Darius and Nina passionately kissing in the rain, when no Black girl with a silk press is really gonna want to stand out there and lock lips while getting her hair drenched. And yet, sometimes I catch myself daydreaming it's me. We all deserve a big love story, Mom says as the love scene fades out. There's nothing better. I guess, Mom. I take a deep sigh and exhale into my blanket. I don't want to lecture today.
I couldn't help but think about the Love Jones soundtrack while you were reading.
It's a great
So what does
soundtrack.
it was one of the best. So what does it mean to have your novel selected as a Michigan notable book?
Man, I don't even think y'all realize how important it is. One thing about I would say about me, and specifically about Detroit, I
That is
I
a
knew I knew when I wrote this book, there was a part of me like once I realized the radio thing, I was like, oh, should I write it about the D? Because there was a part of me that was like, I cannot write about radio and talk about like all this inspiration behind why I chose like him being a radio expert and not acknowledge that I was inspired by like my hometown, right? But I think for me, because like in high school, so basically how my sort of situation worked with my parents, divorce, very much a like community family. I would spend the fall, like the winters with one family member and the summer with another. And so that's what I was doing. I was in Detroit for like school year with my mom, and the summers I would go with my dad. In high school, my dad wanted me to move with him. I swapped. I lived with him for high school and spent the summers with my mom. And I lived in Vegas. I didn't love it. And so I think that's why I was like, I'm going to HBCU when I graduated and went to college. But from there, it's like I lived in DC, I lived in New York, came back to DC. And so I've had like multiple homes. And I was like, I don't know if I'm the right person to write about Detroit because I haven't been like there for months on end consistently in like a few years. My mom moved away, my dad didn't live there. And so I was like, well, maybe I'm not the right person. But then I always would get frustrated by the stories that would come in that either showed the city in a negative light or like nobody was writing about it at all. And I just felt like there's some sort of barrier of entry. And I can't believe that like people from the D are not submitting work. It's just it's gatekeep. So I'm not even seeing it if it was existing to even be like, we should publish this story. And I just realized, like, Ebony, like, why are you acting like this? Just write it, like, just write it. And also make your first readers your family. Because my family, they will tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And also, my family, they're not big readers. And so I had a few people in my family read it, and they were like, Ebony, this is it. Like, I don't even read. And I just flew through this book. And that was like my mini Michigan notable pick. And so I was like, I made it. Like, I feel like if these people are telling me the truth, then I have something. And so it will resonate with some people in Michigan, right? So then to have the email sent to me that I was chosen I was just so overwhelmed with emotion because not a lot of authors can say that they get hometown love. They'll write about a city or a place that they come from, and it doesn't mean that they receive it. So for me to write about this city and this place in the state in a place of love, and for the state to see it and feel it and recognize it and give me love back, it's so incredible. And I'm just so thankful. And especially for this to be my first book, like there's nothing like it.
Well, you you did a great job.
Thank
Um, I,
you.
I I love the shout out to the Detroit Public Library. I
Yeah.
love the shout out to the Detroit Public Schools. The renovated downtown experience. Like I said, it resonated. It was something very personal for me, and I really
Oh,
enjoyed reading it.
thank you.
So, what are you working on next?
Well, I can't say too much, but I'm actually working on two projects. So I'm going through, I have a deadline now for October to work on like the second revision of another book I'm working on. And then I have another special project that I'm hoping to at least be able to announce soonish that I'm gonna go out to that, and both of these are a love story. So it's two different types, but both equally as exciting to write because they're stretching me as a writer. And I'm always gonna sort of like try to make sure that even if I'm writing romance, like it kind of has the depth and nuance that like a story like Love Radio has, because I want to show like the hurdles that come against romance too, not just like the
Right.
cute part of the romance. So yeah, that's what I'm working at. So there's more coming from me, and I'm excited to hopefully be able to announce it very
And
soon.
looking forward to it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. It was a pleasure meeting you.
You too. And again, thank you for everything that you've done to champion Love Radio. I so
Oh, you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
You deserved it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, y'all.